Hi, I'm Amy and I'm here with Dennis. We're part of the Youth Media team. We're here with Brian O'Neill at the BAI Media Literacy event in Facebook.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yes, indeed. Hello, Amy, Dennis. My role within this particular project is that I'm chair of the steering group for the BAI Media Literacy Network. Now, my own background within all of this, I've been teaching media both at second level and at third level for quite a long time. And I started, in fact, in teaching television and radio. So that was my area of interest around supporting media education, particularly for young people, so they got the skills to learn about media, to be able to use production techniques, to develop programs about their own interests, their own areas of experience and expertise, and to use that as a way of learning more about how the media system itself works. More recently, I've been doing a lot more work around the policy area. And this principally deals with how at the political level, how in terms of national systems of law and regulation, we should provide for and support standards in online, in traditional media content. So that's a particular focus for media literacy in terms of having good policies. And so I've written reports at government level. I represent some of the issues at the European level, and with a focus on supporting indeed the development of better quality both systems and content for young people.
Why do we need a media literacy network in Ireland?
The idea of the network was to try and bring the very diverse groups of people together who have an interest in this area. So my background was as a teacher, and from there I developed more research interests and also these kinds of policy areas where I could contribute. But then you have the whole field of media professionals. You've other teachers like myself. You've got organisations who have particular areas of interest, such as youth work. Where media becomes a very important part of what they do. So there are a lot of different groups and organisations and indeed individuals who have an interest in promoting the concept of good quality skills, which is part of literacy, and better quality content. So that's promoting the overall development of a higher level of media provision. So the idea of a network was to try and distill learnings from across these groups that we could work better together and find a common interest, and that's going to have more impact. I think having the support of the BAI, it's the national broadcast regulator. It has very specific responsibility for radio and television, and their support for this network now brings a lot of different people into the equation, and that's what we're seeing now develop as part of this network.
What encouraged you to get involved in the network?
I was really excited when I heard that the BAI, as the media regulator in Ireland, wanted to set up something like this. For a long time, I've been working with either individual companies or individual projects, but rarely do you get an opportunity where, in fact, the national representative body comes along and says, look, we want to bring all this together. Let's see, can we agree some common terms of reference? Can we agree some common objectives and organise a programme and a campaign to be able to support that. So it was a no-brainer from my point of view. I thought this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and certainly I found out that this really is kind of unique, and I work with a lot of European countries around their equivalent initiatives in terms of media literacy policy, and nowhere do they have that sense of consensus and that unanimity between the different groups. So a fantastic opportunity, and I think Ireland as a small country, but with lots of high quality media as part of it, has a great position to be able to lead this field.
What do you think big technological companies can do to promote media literacy to young people like us?
Well, part of the uniqueness of our media environment in Ireland is that we have some of the biggest technology companies in the world located here in Dublin. Their European headquarters, their international global product teams are located in buildings here. We're here in Facebook today, but so many of the others are also here as well. So they have an interest in participating, which we greatly welcome. Now, what they can do in terms of supporting for the initiative, I think Ireland, you have to recognise, is just a very small market in terms of the global business that's involved within the whole social media and online field. But if they can work with Irish groups, Irish audiences, and that includes schools, organisations, and all the various different groups that we have represented in the network, and find an opportunity to support what it is that we're doing, and it could be in terms of giving us some of their resources, supporting the educational initiatives, promoting our campaigns. That could send a really good message elsewhere. I think it could be a real case study in terms of a more positive message coming from the industry, which takes the quality of its service really quite seriously.
What are your thoughts on having the digital age of consent at 13 in Ireland?
Well, this is certainly a very lively and interesting debate at the moment, and certainly part of the work at European level is that there is an active debate about the so-called digital age of consent. I support keeping the age of consent at 13 in terms of current arrangements among social media companies. It is set at 13, and that's the age at which you can sign up for an account on such services, and I think within that we have been able to develop a good dialogue with companies in terms of ensuring that youth accounts, which would be between the ages of 13 and 18, are treated specially, that they have particular privacy protections attached to them, and they take their role of protecting young people who use their services really quite seriously. There is a counter view that perhaps the social media environment is too much for young people at that age, and that in fact we should increase the age, and this is because legislation is changing, and that perhaps it should be at a much older age, for example at 16. However, I don't think that's actually going to help. Because the reality is that we know that lots of young people, indeed under the age of 13, are active online, and sometimes simply lie about their age to set up accounts and so on. So a much more pragmatic and sensible approach is to set clear guidelines, clear supports, and encourage young people to get positive benefits from their social media experience, and ensure that we instill good practice and digital citizenship from the age of 13 upwards.
Thank you.